All right, what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? For today's episode, we have a very fun one. We are going to be doing a collab mock draft today, and I'm joined by Pierre. You guys loved the mock we did last year, so I'm really excited to run this one back this year, man. How you doing?
I'm good, bro. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed doing last year as well. I told you before we started recording, this draft is just one that's all over the place. So I'm kind of excited to see what two minds could do and how much we agree and differ on certain things. So I'm excited nonetheless.
Definitely. And yeah, we were briefly mentioning before too, like how our trade's going to look like this year and can affect it. We're not going to do trades today, but who knows? Like after we record this, maybe there's a chance Kevin Durant's on the move and then there's like the 14th pick somewhere else. You never know. So,
exactly.
Yeah, so we're going to start off pretty easy pick here. You can get the number one overall pick. We'll go back and forth. So what would you do if you were Nico Harrison, or what do you think he's going to do here?
Easiest decision Nico Harrison is going to have to make in the near future. Cooper Flag, an incredible gift for the Mavericks. I mean, I don't think we have to spend too much time discussing who Cooper Flag is and what he's about. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of crazy that the Mavericks are getting him. You come from the rebuild world of 2K. It feels like a 2K simulation that they got the first overall pick.
Yeah, it really feels like they got handed like a life raft of where their franchise was going and now where it's going. And I feel like there's just so many different avenues they can go this offseason because Flag can play so many different positions out there at a high level. And him and Anthony Davis defensively is going to be fun.
Scary.
Yeah, so it's also crazy he's just in the Western Conference and just nobody's coming to the East, at least the top end draft talent.
You're actually right. Then now the Spurs at number 2, also another Western Conference team. That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it's just like the West gets so much better. So number 2, I think, is still a pretty easy pick. I know the Spurs are a team that has a ton of guard depth, and the Fox trade last year, an extension looming, and you have Castle in his Rookie of the Year season. I still think you go best player available and you figure it out down the line. It'll be a good problem to have. You take Dylan Harper, who's a true downhill scorer, like combo guard, great size, and has shooting potential to really be like a 3-level scorer at his position. So I don't think anything too crazy there to start things off, but I do think the draft officially starts at 3.
Yeah, same. I actually love this for the San Antonio Spurs. I'm kind of glad that Giannis is staying in Milwaukee because I think it allows the Spurs to stay settled into what they're doing. This is a dream rebuild where you got Vic, you were able to get Fox, you got the reigning Rookie of the Year, like you mentioned, Stephon Castle, and now you're being able to add Dylan Harper. I don't think we talk about how good Dylan Harper is because of how good Cooper Flag is. I personally think this is a 2-man top tier draft where it's Flag, it's Harper, and then it's kind of everybody else. So for the Spurs to walk out with another top end talent, I think is super, super good. And they're going to have a lot of different options, man. The Spurs are like slowly building something that could be scary. Now, I agree with you. The draft does start at 3. And this is where it can get tricky for Philadelphia. I'll say this. Philly, it really depends obviously on the health of Joel Embiid. You can tell me if you know anything. I don't know anything that's going on with Joel Embiid outside of that knee surgery he had. I don't know if he's going to be back at the start, mid, or I don't know what's going on. But they do have Maxey, McCain, and I think it would be good to go Ace Bailey. You know, another pick that I think complements those 2 younger names that I mentioned. In a world where this team knew that Joel Embiid, Paul George, and the entire team was going to be ready at day 1, I kind of would say trade back and maybe get CMB, Colin Murray-Boyles. I think he fits perfectly with the healthy version of this team. But because you don't know, I do think they have to go for a little youth and upside. I also like Quentin Grimes on their team too, a former Knick, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a tricky one. But I do think if they stay put, Ace Bailey would be the good selection here.
No, definitely. And it gives them, like, I know maybe it hasn't gone to plan for Golden State, like when they had the 2 timeline approach, but it does give you like Embiid and Paul George right now. But when they come and go, you're going to be okay going forward with Ace, Grimes, Maxey, and McCain. And with the Eastern Conference being wide open as it is, if you can have Ace Bailey be in like a complementary role, really develop him, and you don't have to rush him either into a bunch of bad shots that he could take right away, and then you don't want his confidence to get messed up, and now he has a chance to grow on what should be a good team next year, at least if everybody's healthy, like you alluded to, if Embiid is out there. So I like that pick. And then you mentioned Grimes, and I like, it is cool that we are both Knicks fans. I just want to know your thoughts on like the coaching situation right now, because I know they're going after Kidd or Udoka, and it's just like, Are they going to try to interview any non-active head coaches?
Yeah, like I wasn't mad at them. I love Thibodeau,
Mm-hmm.
but I get it. He is a
Yeah.
coach that has like, certain limits and he can never pass through. So I understand that part. I just wish that it was a decision that was made knowing that we were going to have certain options, and it kind of felt like we fired him and we were hopeful, and now those hopeful ideas are getting shot down, and it's like, what do we do now? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right.
I personally love Johnny Bryant, but I wasn't mad at
Mm-hmm.
Kid, Udoka. So it's like, I don't know what we're doing. I'm going to trust the front office because they deserve the trust. They went out and made a roster and a team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I'll let them cook. But I'm definitely a little skeptical and nervous now that it seems like they didn't have a formal plan for what they were going to do post dib. So it's kind of crazy.
No, it is. And I'm just like a team that doesn't have draft capital to begin with or that much. I just hope they're not giving up like serious draft capital for like, I don't know, one of these head coaches that like, I mean, like it would be really cool to get one of them. Like Kidd, I feel like he's really built up his reputation in Dallas, and Udoka is still one of the best like defensive minded young head coaches in the league. But yeah, I wish we had like a plan right away because you want your head coach for the draft and free agency and any trades because you want to have their approval on board with those moves.
Right before I joined, I saw a report that each team is going to deny us the opportunity to talk to them. So you don't have to worry about us giving up any picks. I think those are kind of shot down. I think it's now going back into the coaching search. Is it going to be Johnny Bryant? I have no idea. That's a good point that you brought up. Are they going to go to a coach that we're not even thinking of, who's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I like Bryant. He definitely checks off some boxes.
Stephen A was on our pod a few days ago, and he was throwing out the name Mark Jackson, who hasn't coached in so long. But I'm like, I love Mark Jackson. I respect him, but I definitely don't want to bring in somebody who hasn't coached in years to a team who now has, I guess, championship aspirations. So
that's tough.
I'm being hopeful, man. I'm being hopeful.
Yeah, definitely a completely different game. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll end up being like a Mike Malone, Taylor Jenkins type guy like that.
Yeah.
So we'll hop here to Charlotte. Obviously Charlotte can use a bunch of different things this offseason. I think they just want to go somebody that has high floor, high ceiling. And for me, that's VJ Edgecombe. I really like his potential in between LaMelo and Brandon Miller. For what he could do on the defensive end of the floor right away, I think they need as many perimeter defenders as they can get. You assume they bring back Trey Mann this offseason. I think they have a nice blend of scoring on the perimeter. And I think Edgecombe's offensive talent's eventually going to come. 3-point shot looked a lot better in conference play and towards the end of the year. And you could make an argument he's the most athletic player in this draft. And that is huge in today's NBA where he can cut, slash, run in transition, catch alley-oops, and he can at least be something of like a culture builder there in Charlotte.
I love this pick for them. I think this is one of the best case scenarios where they're able to get best player available, and he does fit a need for them. I think, like you said, he fits perfectly between LaMelo and Miller, and he's going to be able to bring something that I don't think anybody else that they've gotten over the last few years brings, which is the defensive mindset on the perimeter. And I think their rebuild or the direction could be solid. It's all about the health. Right. If Mark Williams is able to be on the floor at a decent rate, if LaMelo and Brandon Miller are going to be healthy for the most part in this next year, their team is not as bad as they've performed over the last few years. It's just about being healthy. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen. Even Trey Mann, I'm a big Trey Mann fan. It sucked to see him get hurt so early when he was off to such a good start. So I'm very hopeful for them because it's time to start seeing, some of these franchises that's been down in the dirt have some.
I know. I want to see them do well.
Yeah. This is 5 Utah Jazz. Yeah. So I think again there are some options here. I've seen a bunch of different mocks that have a bunch of different players going here. Con Knipple, I've seen Trey Johnson, I've seen Yakachona, I've seen Jeremiah Fears here. Yeah. I think the best option for me personally would be Trey Johnson. I think this team lacks that true player that can go and create for themselves. And as good as Con Knipple is, as good as I think he'll be, I think they just need a little bit more of the scoring punch that Trey Johnson can provide. And I think they have a lot of other things surrounding pieces that will complement some of the weaknesses that you can see with Trey Johnson. I think defensively, there's some stuff there with Walker Kessler anchoring the defense. Obviously, Larry Markkinen is one of the best players in the NBA as far as playing off of the ball and being able to score without dominating the basketball. And I think with the rumors of wanting to trade Sexton and Clarkson, that opens up some more scoring opportunity and usage. And it takes a little bit of pressure off of like a Keontae George, who I think has had to command a lot. So I kind of like Trey Johnson there. And I think they got to really hit on their pick. I think there was some disappointment with the Cody Williams 10th overall pick last year. But you, on the other hand, did have good moments from Isaiah Collier and Kyle Filipowski. So they quietly have some really good talent. I just think that it's going to take time for that talent to kind of develop, and it's kind of one-sided. You like Collier is a good passer, but he struggled at a lot of other different things. Filipowski can score, but he may not have all of the rebounding and defensive chops that you may want from day one. So now, you add in a scoring punch in Trey Johnson, and collectively, this team may be able to grow together over the next few years.
Yeah, no, you had a lot of great points there. Like you mentioned in Keontae George, having like a little bit of like a load off of him is like handling the ball. And Johnson is coming from a team where he was like the guy at Texas. So he is no stranger in a great conference to like go up against great opposing defenses and have to kind of orchestrate a little bit out of nothing. So I like that. He could play out there with Collier and Keontae George. So it's not like he's going to steal their minutes. And I think it's time, you try to move on maybe from Sexton and Clarkson this offseason, have a little bit of new like of an identity there in Utah, because I think they're another team too. Like I'm sure they would have loved to obviously to get Cooper Flagg and Wemby a couple years ago, and they've kind of been like too competitive at times in the last 2 years. And now last year they were the worst team in the league. But I think they're a team like you mentioned with Charlotte. They want to probably be good again, right? Like this rebuild is going on to year 3 now after Donovan Mitchell and Gobert, and you hope that Trey Johnson could end up being like the second or third best guy from this draft class.
Absolutely. And they're also well coached. That's the thing too. I want to see teams that have a good coach like Will Hardy be able to actually have some talent to work with. I think he'll look a lot better. But yeah, I like what they got going on quietly. I just think it needs a little patience. And then if they keep building and drafting the right pieces, one of these years they'll get their number 1 or number 2 overall pick. Like next year would not be a bad class to finally get your number 1 overall pick. So
right. No, totally. So, and like, honestly, the West is so competitive. It's not like the end of the world if they're going to be bad again next year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So next up at 6, we have Washington, another team like Utah that fell in the lottery. I think there's a lot of fun fits here for them. I think they can take the DMV kid, keep him in the area.
Yes.
In Derek Queen. I think he can play off of Alex Sarr. I think the same is an intriguing idea with Kaman Maluach if you want to have him out there with Sarr, because Sarr could space the floor. A part of me wants to think like what they're going to end up doing is ending up really liking Jeremiah Fears, because I don't believe Jordan Poole is probably the long term, at least straight up point guard. Maybe he turns into a different role if he signs another contract with Washington eventually. But I think here is going to be in line for Jeremiah Fears to be kind of their point guard for the future. They don't have that on the roster. I think Bub is a little bit better as like an off-ball movement scorer, as like a kind of shooting guard. And Fears does need, I think, a little bit of time and like trial and error to really figure out what he is at the NBA level. But I think the passing potential is there. He operated very well out of the pick and roll. And I think giving him Alex Sarr and Bilal Coulibaly and Bub Carrington to play off of is going to be pretty good for his development. And they're all obviously on the same timeline. So I'm going to go Fears there at 6.
I like that pick, man. I really do. I'm a Jeremiah Fears fan. He's from obviously the Chicagoland area. He grew up playing against my little brother in their little AAU battles.
That's pretty cool.
So love Jeremiah Fears and his brother. That's probably my favorite hypothetical for him. Yeah. I like everything you just said. You'll have a lot of size around him. You have a lot of defense. And it'll be a situation where they're able to kind of just let him go. You know what I mean? I think it's important for rookie guards to be able to make mistakes early and often. Well, guards like him. Yeah, guards like him. He plays with a certain flair and a certain scores mentality that I think the mistakes are going to have to be kind of encouraged.
For sure.
It's the hardest position to translate into. That or a defensive center, you know what I mean? Understanding defensive schemes and concepts. So
you even look like, I always like love looking back at like De'Aaron Fox's rookie year, Darius Garland's rookie year, when they struggled so much in that department. And if you're just patient with these guys, like let them be more comfortable out there. It's a huge workload as a rookie, as someone that's like 18 or 19 years old. Like they'll be okay. You just got to be a little bit patient with them.
Underrated rebuild, by the way. Washington is doing a really good job,
right?
in my opinion.
Yeah.
New Orleans, this is one of the tougher teams to draft for, just because, kind of like Philly, you just don't know. I mean, DeJounte is hurt now. Herb Jones had the shoulder injury. Will he be there at the start of the season? Zion has, been on and off the floor. Trey Murphy looked really good last year, but he also missed time. Even the guys that they've drafted, I like, but it's like they don't play as, like Jordan Hawkins, I thought was really good in certain stretches. Yves Missy. I got to mention Yves Missy. He had a really, really good year. So we're not drafting a center because we have Yves Missy. We don't have to worry about any front court help because we have Zion Williamson. You don't have DeJounte. CJ McCollum is going to be on the last year of that deal. Man. I think. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say they're a really interesting team. Like what their timeline is, right? Like, are they gonna be good next year? Are they gonna trade Zion? Are they gonna be kind of where they were this year? Like, well, what's gonna happen with them?
Yeah, man, that's exactly what's on my mind. So at 7, I'm going to have them take Yakachonis, Kasparas Yakachonis. I mean, I just think that they have so many other spots where they're solidified. There's also this rumor now where like the Spurs can get ultra aggressive, knowing that they're not going to get Giannis, and maybe the Spurs reach out and try to get like Trey Murphy the third or one of these wings or something like that. I think that would be intriguing if you're the Pelicans. You don't really want to trade Trey Murphy the third, but based off the direction of your team and how clumpy everything is, and just everything is so all over the place, you might have to take an opportunity. It was something where like the Spurs would trade number 2 and maybe like a Keldon Johnson or something to the Pelicans, and the Pelicans would trade 7 and Murphy to the Spurs. I don't know. But I'll take Yakachonis just to give them some guard help. I think he could play with DeJounte Murray. He's that talented. And it also gives you a security where if CJ McCollum isn't here next year, you also could have another backcourt guy, plays without the basketball, can shoot it, decent size. I think he's good. I would love a team in this range take a swing. Like I think Noah Singh is like a guy that I would swing for, but I just don't know if they're in a position to take that type of swing.
No, totally. I think like Jeremiah Fears could have made a lot of sense here, and obviously Trey Johnson if they fell. And like honestly, like when you mentioned Trey Murphy, it's like somebody may hear like, wow, Trey Murphy could get like land you Dylan Harper, and it's like Trey Murphy under his contract now and how good he was last year. I think if any team can really acquire Trey Murphy, I would go out and do so. I probably wouldn't want to move him if I'm New Orleans, but like you mentioned, like are they at a crossroads right now? And they have a new GM than Joe Dumars. Yes. Like he has no ties to Trey Murphy, didn't draft him, didn't give him an extension. So you never know what can happen. So here at number 8, we have the Brooklyn Nets. I think a team that could have also like really enjoyed one of those guys, one of those point guards at 8. I think they have so many picks. We're going to talk about them 4 different times here in this mock. And so at number 8, we can really set up a bunch of different things for them. And honestly, there's 2 guys that I'm going between. It's Con Knipple or it's actually Derek Queen, because I do think Queen, at least, it's really TBD what they're going to do with Claxton this offseason. And I think Queen can actually play off of Claxton right away, and that could probably help him early in his career. But part of me is just like Con Knipple is too talented to go past 8. Maybe doesn't have like all NBA potential or all-star potential as some of these other guys, but as high as a floor as anybody in this class. And if you date back to like when he was Mr. Basketball at Wisconsin, like his high school numbers, he's just never been a bad shooter in his career. So I can't see that not happening in the NBA and how good he was last year at Duke. So I'm going to take Con here at number 8. Maybe not the upside swing to take in the top 10 for Brooklyn, but I think as safe as a prospect as you can get.
I really like this pick for them. If the draft board is going to look this way, I think that's a great night for them, because I agree with you. I think Jeremiah Fears, Yakachonis, Trey Johnson, like we mentioned, all of the guys, like we said, for the Pelicans would apply all here as well.
Totally.
But if you're not going to get that, I think that Con Knipple is like the great safe bet. And we saw how this team was able to play under Jordy Fernandez last year, where it's real team oriented. And I think some of that can play to the strengths of Con Knipple, where he can be a spot up guy. He'll be empowered to make decisions and grow in that aspect. And if you do have a Nick Claxton, or even if you don't have a Nick Claxton, but I think, Noah Clowney is a guy that I like, a young guy that will help defensively, rim protection. They have some things here. Interested to see the way that the rest of this roster shapes up with, what is going to happen with D'Angelo Russell. How much are they going to pay Cam Thomas? Are they going to finally trade Cam Johnson? But I think Concanipple is a guy that fits any direction. If they bring all of those guys back, he could play next to those guys. If they don't, he'll be just fine with a younger roster. So I really do like that pick for Brooklyn. At 9, we have the Toronto Raptors. Very interesting spot because a lot of times I looked at the Raptors, I was hopeful or hoping that one of these centers are going to be here, and now in this situation, they're both here. This is tough because I love Maluach. I think he's really, really good, especially in a situation like Toronto where there's going to be so much size and versatility, and he's going to be able to be a play finisher and help anchor the defense. But then I think about Derek Queen and having a point forward like Scotty Barnes, having a guy like Emmanuel Quickly who will be able to play off of both of those guys. You now have a Brandon Ingram who can play off the elbows and create and dribble handoff scoring as well. Derek Queen is also versatile enough to, I think, play next to Jakob Poeltl. I'm going to take Derek Queen. I keep saying Derek White. I'm going to take Derek Queen. The Boston Celtics still on my mind as a Knicks fan. I'm going to take Derek Queen. I think it gives them some versatility, and I think it allows them to play a lot of different ways and to prepare for any direction. Because I don't know what's going to happen with RJ Barrett. I don't even know what's going to happen with Jakob Poeltl. There's a world where they're both there. There's a world where they get traded. I don't know, but I think Derek Queen, no matter what, will be able to find a way to contribute and fit in with this team.
Yeah, I think Toronto's becoming like one of the more interesting teams right now in the offseason because they were floating around like, oh, could they be a Giannis team? Could they be a Kevin Durant team this offseason? And I think, are they going to try to make a little bit of a move? I wish we got to see Brandon Ingram play at least like a game with them just to like feel like how him and Scotty would look and him and RJ would look. But we didn't get that, obviously. So I think for them, both centers are on the board, no brainer. And I think Queen offensively could be really fun there in Toronto.
I agree.
This is interesting for the Rockets at number 10. There's a bunch of different guys that I do like for them that are on the board. I mean, I'm thinking like, I would love to know like if they were able to bring back Steven Adams this offseason, right? Because if so, then I'm not targeting Kaman. But if some team outbids them for Steven Adams, maybe gives them the full mid-level. The big man minutes with no Şengün on the floor were pretty rough last year when Steven Adams was out. So maybe you get a little bit of insurance in Kaman Maluach if Steven Adams does end up leaving this offseason. If he is still on the team, I would love either Carter Bryant or Colin Murray-Boyles, but I just don't think Kaman would fall past this if Houston is like, okay, we can take Kaman. He's going to make significantly less than Steven Adams will. And maybe, honestly, we can get Steven Adams back on a 3-year deal, 2-year deal, and that's when Kaman can now build himself up as like a true NBA-ready center going forward. So I think we're just taking a high upside swing here, but who knows? This pick may end up getting traded by the time this video comes out. You never know.
That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that the trades are about to start happening sooner than later. What a great night for the Houston Rockets, though, to walk in with the 10th pick and to leave with Maluach is it's incredible value.
Right.
11th, Portland Trailblazers, man, another team that just has so much going on, but at the same time, very little success to show for it. I'm going to anticipate that Anthony Simons won't be on this team. I'm not going to think about the future of this team and include DeAndre Ayton or Robert Williams in it, or even Jeremy Grant. But I do think that that still leaves you with Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe, who I like, Denny, and then Donovan Clingan and Toumani Camara. So I would love a situation where they could take some upside. And with that being said, I think I'm going to take Carter Bryant. I think I'll take Carter Bryant, man. He is basically a guy that I think could fit in with all of these players. He'll be able to guard. He came off the bench last year for Arizona. He's young, so I don't think you have to worry about doing too much that first year. And I think he adds to the athletic movement that they have. A lot of these guys are athletic as hell with Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe, even Denny. I think he goes in there and you now have a bunch of different lineups that you could play in. You could play fast, play to the Scoot Henderson strengths, Shaedon Sharpe strengths, and he's going to be able to play without the basketball at a high level. So I'll go Carter Bryant with Portland. And I think, again, like some of these other teams I've said for, if Portland is able to walk out with Carter Bryant at 11, I think that's a really good night for them personally.
Yeah, no, I love that pick a lot. I was actually thinking about him at 10. I was going to definitely take him with Chicago here at 12 if you didn't select him. So what he could be, like, he's not going to steal any reps from Scooter Klingon, and he could play out there with Kamara, Shaden, and Denny at any time. So I'm a big fan of that pick. Now, this is interesting for Chicago because if I would go best player available, it's probably Colin Murray-Boyles for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, does the ceiling of Colin Murray-Boyles fit like what Chicago is doing? But hey, maybe they're looking at like, we can get one of the best defensive prospects in this draft. He can help us out right away. He can maybe even be a small ball 5 at times. And he's not going to hinder the development of Matas Buzelis. And they also have a ton of guards. So I could see Chicago. It just depends what route they're going to go this offseason. Would they actually think about a Kobe White or Ayodasumu trade, or they're going to bring everybody back, bring back Giddey, don't even trade Lonzo, and then just try to maybe be a playing team next year, which could definitely happen. So
yes.
I think based off that, like, if I was going to go best player available, it would be Colin Murray-Boyles. I think if you're taking like highest upside swing, it's probably Noah Essengay here at number 12. Yegor Demon could be interesting as well, but I feel like it's just a little redundant with Josh Giddey.
Yes.
Clifford and Fleming, a little older. So I don't hate Asa Newell either. I just think like for them, you're just going to take like a surefire defensive prospect in Colin Murray-Boyles, and you hope that the 3-point shot develops. I know it's not like the most exciting upside pick for Bulls fans who are probably just hoping to like maybe land that guy they can build around with Matas. But Murray-Boyles is as safe as a prospect as you can probably get on the defensive end of the floor.
I'm not mad at it. I think you took a big swing last year with Matas Buzelis. The high upside swings haven't always been friendly to Chicago either. So hopefully their fan base understands that, right? With Patrick Williams and whatnot. So I think sometimes it's good just getting a good player. You know what I'm saying?
Totally, right.
Just getting a really good player who can come in and help and complement that upside player. You know what I mean? When you start to have too many guys with upside, I think you start to run into a mess because you got all of these guys with all of this pressure and you want to give them all of this opportunity, and it's not enough that complements them. So I think Colin Murray-Boyles would complement some of the guys that they have. So I kind of like that.
Yeah, like when you mentioned same division, I remember like when the Pistons took Sekou Doumbouya in 2019 and then Killian Hayes in 2020.
Yes.
And it's like these high upside guys that really could become something in the league. And if they hit their ceiling, you're kind of golden. But if they also kind of just flame out, then you're setting yourself back a little bit. And that's what happened. But yeah.
Because like how often would you say off the top of your brain, maybe we could find an answer with, dedicated research. How many times did franchises take swing, and they just all hit? Like that's like the OKC Thunder with Durant, Harden, and Russell Westbrook. Other than that, you don't really have, so I'm always good with taking like a swing. And if it shows potential like Matas did, it's like, let's get like guys that still have potential and upside, but they're not just upside. So I kind of
totally agree.
Am thinking CMB in real life and Thomas, or like a Thomas Sorber, I like for Chicago.
Yeah.
Atlanta. I love what Atlanta's been doing quietly. I know they are a team that has these expectations, but I think you found a really good backcourt mate with Dyson Daniels to put with Trae Young, the defensive upside there, secondary ball handler. I love Jalen Johnson, one of my favorite players in the entire NBA. You finally empowered Double O to make him your full-time center. And then Zachary Richardson, I think, had a very, very good rookie year that didn't get enough praise with how much they kind of killed last year's draft. He should have got a little bit more praise. I think there's some openings on this team. I think you can never have too many wings next to a Trae Young type of point guard, especially wings that can knock the shot down. So I'm looking at Nick Clifford. I'm looking at Rasheer Fleming. I'm even trying to convince myself on Noah Essengay because Atlanta is never going to be a team that has that upside type of opportunity. Last year they did have the number 1 overall pick. Last year they that was their chance to take a swing, but for the most part they're probably going to always be in this range. Yeah. Right, they're going to be at like the back of the lottery or right outside of the lottery, being a play-in or 8th or 7th seed. So I don't know how many swings they'll always have the opportunity to take. And so let's take Noah Essengay. Let's take him. Let's have them take a swing. Somebody was going to have to take the swing on him at some point. They all fails. nothing materializes, and you still have Jalen Johnson, Zachary Ricochet, Trey Young, Dyson Daniels. But then on the other side, if it does turn into something, you now have something else to work with. So
yeah. And they have another first round pick in this draft if they wanted to go a safer option. I do like. It is weird that they did let go of Landry Fields, but I kind of like the idea of just like, let's get as many 3-and-D like super athletic wings as possible around Trey Young.
yes,
And that's what they did. And I wish they were all healthy for a decent amount more time last year, but I think that's the way to operate. And Okongwu spaced the floor well towards the end of the year.
If they
feel
were
like
fully
what it
healthy,
is, right?
they may be a playoff team.
No, totally. I think they could have been better than like Miami. You never know because Jalen Johnson only played 30-ish games last year. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty high on the Hawks next year. And
Me
if
too.
SNG can hit his ceiling, yeah, you're just adding more talent over there. So we ended up getting Dylan Harper at number 2. So we're on the clock here at 14 with the San Antonio Spurs. They're a team that definitely needs some shooting as well. But
Yes.
I don't know if they would take another guard like Jace Richardson. I don't believe they would take Lee McNeely here. There's a chance Will Riley could go, but honestly, I think if they're trying to compete next year, I like the idea of either Nick Clifford or Rasheer Fleming for them. Both of them shot well last year, Colorado State and St. Joe's. Man, Clifford, he's a fun player. He pushes the ball very well, super NBA ready. A little bit older than some of these other guys in the class, so maybe the ceiling isn't as high. But I think Nick Clifford is one of the 15-ish best players in this class. Incredible rebounder for somebody at his size as well. Plays off of 2 feet. And I just love the way he can run the floor. So I'm going to take Clifford there at 14.
Great pick. I had the privilege of having Nick Clifford on my show, and I was very hopeful that he would be able to land in a spot like this. I think he's going to be a guy that if he can go to a playoff team, whether that was going to be San Antonio, OKC, who was picking next at 15, I think Minnesota's at 17, even Atlanta in the previous pick, those have all been really good places for him because he's he's almost like this Swiss Army Josh Hart type of player that has like a scoring punch. So he's going to fit like a glove in all of these places. But I think San Antonio is a place where you think about how Keldon Johnson's been able to play, Harrison Barnes, Devin Vassell. He's like a little bit of a bridge between all of them. So that's going to be a really good spot for him.
Totally. And if the Spurs do make the playoffs next year, he could legitimately be in your rotation playing meaningful minutes next year. He can be playoff ready.
Absolutely. 15, the team that is looking like they're going to win the NBA Finals. And now I'm here having to pick for them. The guy that I'm going to take for them, I don't know where they have him at.
Yeah.
Cedric Coward.
Okay. Yeah, no. He's going to be ranked, I think 46. A little bit low. Yeah, no, but I think this is a little outdated. Oh my God, man. Just the fact that the team that's about to win or could win the NBA Finals, it's still 1-1, but they had Cedric Howard. They just have the 15th pick, and if his 6-game sample size this year can actually showcase what he can do on both ends of the floor, special talent at 15.
I think this is a great play for this type of prospect who went from Division III, climbed up the ladder, had the 6 games that was insane. The measurements are nice. The interviewing has been really well. When you talk about going into a place that can mold and develop talent, I mean, you really wouldn't want another prospect like him to go anywhere but an OKC type of place. So I'm excited for him. I think he fits into what they do. And I think he's going to be a guy that can really, really get it done at the NBA level. So he's not a guy that I would not think that the Spurs are looking at either. When you look at how they developed Kawhi Leonard, I'm not calling him Kawhi Leonard. I'm just saying,
Yeah. No, and like you mentioned too, having a chance to grow, he doesn't have to get thrown out there right away. Even if he spent a tiny bit of time in the G League, it wouldn't be bad for him. He just, I think, needs a little bit more reps after the injury. So, oh man, because guys are going to come and go in OKC. They can't afford everybody in a couple of years. So having somebody that can step in will be huge. 16 here for the Orlando Magic, a team that needs point guard help, shooting help. I don't think they're able to get both of that with either Yegor Demon or Jace Richardson, but I'm a big fan of Jace Richardson in this class, so I'm going to take him here. I think he's a very safe shooter, son of Jason Richardson. He's got kind of the lineage there, the work ethic, and really came along towards the end of the season in Big Ten play. Very crafty scorer. The one thing is, He's not going to be like a true point guard, and he's a little bit undersized. But hey, if you have him in the backcourt with Jalen Suggs, I think they can complement each other very well and can help each other out. So I'm going to have Jace go to the Magic. They just need shooting, and they have 2 first-round picks. I'd like to see them take a shooter with at least one of them.
One of the most seamless picks, I think. When you do the mock drafts, there's always a couple picks where it's just like, this is undeniable, and I could really see this happen. If besides Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper, if there's any picks in the draft that I just feel like you almost can pencil them in, it's like if Jace Richardson is on the board at 16 or at 16 for the
16.
There's no way that the Magic don't take him. There's just no way. There's just no way. It's too perfect of a fit. Next, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves at 17th overall, a team that is very interesting. They're very, very interesting because obviously you have Rudy, you have McDaniels, Anthony Edwards. They're hoping to bring back Naz Reid. Looks like they may be losing Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Mike Conley is getting up there in age. I heard Chris Finch talk about Rob Dillingham is going to have to be ready next year. Julius Randle is probably taking his player option. They have a lot going on here, and I kind of like the wing help. For you know what, I'm gonna kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I don't know how much people are gonna like this. I don't know how great of a pick this will be. Okay, I'm gonna explain my thought process. Obviously, Rasheer Fleming here, I think makes a ton of sense because he has defense. He'll be able to shoot, but it could get a little bit overlapping with the him, Randall, Reed, McDaniels. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
The other idea I'm thinking is you take Jaeger Dimon. And the reason I'm saying that is because he has the size at 6'9" to be able to guard other positions, but he also would help you in a department where I think they're going to need some help, which is playmaking. Because Mike Conley does not have a bunch of time left, and outside of Mike Conley, you don't have a high, playmaking type of player. And we saw last year or in these playoffs, they got really limited because it was just like put the ball in Anthony Edwards' hands, and if he sees bodies, he'll kick the ball. If not, he's going to try to score. I think they're going to have to be a little bit more better than just playing that way. So a part of me makes Jaeger Dimon, but then it's like his shot limits them. How could he be able to play? I'll take Rasheer Fleming. Fleming at 17.
No, I saw the vision for Jaeger Dimon for sure. Because hey, you're picking at 17 with that Detroit pick. You probably thought you weren't even going to get that pick before the year. So why not take a high upside swing in Dimon, who can be like a point guard for you, handle the ball a little bit. But yeah, I think when you mentioned too with them potentially losing Nickeil Alexander-Walker and how much wing depth matters in the NBA and getting Rasheer Fleming who could play out there as a 3, the 4. I think him and Naz Reid can complement each other well if that was your front court at one point in a pinch. So yeah, no, I like that pick a lot. That's probably what I would have done there as well. Because man, it's crazy. When the Knicks traded that pick in the cat trade, I was like, that's probably going to be like a couple seconds. Like it's not going to convey. And they end up getting the 17th pick. It would have been nice if the Knicks had the 17th pick right now.
Yeah. I would love that personally.
Like if they give up that Washington pick next year instead of the Pistons pick, that would be nice. Yeah. Right. So here we go at 18 with the Wizards. I would have thought about Demon for sure if I didn't end up taking Fears earlier. So I think I'm going to have them go. I'm going to have them go with what I was also thinking about, taking a big that you can maybe put out there with Sar. And there's some good options. There's Asa Newell, there's Danny Wolf, and there's Thomas Sorber. But I think Sorber has as close as rim protecting potential as Kaman Watch does. And I hinted that earlier. And if you watch Georgetown's defense with him on the floor, it's pretty good in the Big East. And if you watched him after the injury, it was pretty bad. And he really anchored that defense. Incredible length, size, standing reach. As long as the injury isn't too serious that he suffered in his lower body, he'll be okay. And I think it'll be really exciting to have him and Sar out there at the same time. And for a team that doesn't have a lot of big man depth, it's just a good ad there at 18.
Yeah, you've given the Washington Wizards a really good draft night. Like that is.
I would enjoy Fears and Sorber on their team for sure next year.
Yes, I think they walk out as big time winners if that's their reality. In 19, the Brooklyn Nets are up again. We're going to see them a lot coming up. You took Con Knipple with them at 8, which I liked, and I think this now opens up the door for Jaeger Dimon, and you're getting Jaeger Dimon at 19. I don't know what the future of like D'Angelo Russell is going to look like there, if they're going to bring him back. So you've been needing a guard and some playmaking. I think he comes in there. He allows you to play fast. You have a bunch of shooters around him, especially if you have Nipple. Cam Johnson is still there. Cam Thomas gets to really score, and he can do what he likes to do. So I think that would be a no-brainer for them at 19.
Definitely. And I think that's like kind of what I was saying before too. If you didn't get like that high upside guy, you could probably get maybe somebody like that later on, and that's exactly what happened when you took Yegor Demon for what he could be under Jordy Fernandez, and it's probably a really good place for him to grow and develop. So now we got the Heat at 20.
Another tough team, man. I don't know.
An interesting team, right? There's a couple different guys I think they can go. I think I would hammer it on 3, and they're all in this range in this big board ranking. But I like Will Riley, I like Walter Clayton, and I like Nolan Traore to them. I do think that there could be some influx in their wing depth going forward. I know they could use another point guard for sure, and that could end up being Clayton or Traore, but I like what Will Riley can be. Towards the end of the year, he was kind of more the ball handler, the primary ball handler over at Illinois, and I think that really showcased that he can be somebody that you can trust with the ball in his hands. At his size, shot creating ability, can go to a team with a great development staff, and could be out there with Tyler Hero, and I think has this, if he can put on and some weight, get stronger, could be a good defender as well. And they need some offense. So I'm going to take, I think, a little bit more of a higher upside swing there than like a Walter Clayton and take Riley at 20.
I like Will Riley there. I really do.
Yeah, I think it's a good range for him.
He's going to be really, really good. We have the Jazz are back on it. So we're starting to see teams make their second rounds. Okay, so we took Trey Johnson. We gave them some scoring. This is a team, again, they have so much but so little at the same time. They have Keontae George and Isaiah Collier. They just added Trey Johnson. As of now, there's still Colin Sexton and Jordan Clarkson. They have Cody Williams and Bryce Sensabaugh and Taylor Hendricks. Yeah, they have so many guys. I'm going to look at the 5 position for them. I'm going to give them a guy that I think will be able to play the way that Will Riley likes to play. He's going to have size. He's going to be creative. He's going to be able to make some jump shots. And that's Danny Wolf. I'll give them Danny Wolf at 21. The reason I'm going Danny Wolf is because I'm not all the way sure if Filipowski is a solidified 4 or 5. And I think the way that they just like to play is so unique. And being able to have a guy like Danny Wolf play at the top of the key, create plays, make plays, pick and pop. I think his IQ would fit in what they do there. So I'll take a part of me feels like it could be something better out there. But at the same time, I feel like any pick I would have made, I would have felt like they have somebody at that position already. It just feels like it's so much.
Many guys.
Yeah. So I'm going to just play it safe and get him a big who's versatile.
No, I like it a lot because he could play, I assume, like he did at Michigan playing off Vlad Golden. Like he can kind of be in a similar role with Walker Kessler, right? Marketing could stay at the 3 if he's there next year. And I think it just gives you more shooting and just more movement in that offense. And I think that's what Will Hardy wants. So I like that a lot, honestly. It's good value. 22. We took Noah Essengay at 13. So I think I could also look at another big. There's some like Lee McNeely is still on the board too. If they want to look at some shooting, Adu Thero is a pretty good defender. Noah Penda if they want to go that end. But I like the idea of going Asa Newell here at 22. Yes. I think like if they don't get like a Thomas Sorber earlier, they can look at Newell, who's an incredible lob threat, was that at Georgia. And with Clint Capella probably not being back next year, you have just another lob threat off the bench playing with one of the best, if not the best passing point guard in the NBA in Trae Young, who's going to be great for Newell's development.
I feel like that the same way I felt about the Jace Richardson pick. Like if Asa Newell is going to be there this late in the draft and the Hawks are on the clock, that's a great Clint Capella replacement in my opinion.
For sure.
The Pacers, the team that's in NBA Finals, picking 23rd. Another team that just feels like they have so much, rightfully so. That's why they're in the finals. You got Halliburton, you have McConnell, you have Nembhard, you have Ben Shepherd, Benedict Mathurin, Aaron Nesmith, Pascal, Obi Toppin, Jarris Walker, who's dope but doesn't even get to play. Turner and Isaiah Jackson, who's hurt right now. There's just a lot going on here. I don't even know where to begin. Walter Clayton would be dope, but again, there's so much backcourt play that I don't think that they would go that direction. As I look on the board, I think they have to just take Liam McNeely. I mean, he can
Yeah,
play within
good
the
value.
offense that they have. Yeah, it's a great value pick at 23rd. He can shoot. I think he fits in right with what they do. So I think this is a great scenario for them to be in as a team that's in the NBA Finals as we speak. So, yeah, I'll take Liam McNeely. At worst, you just got somebody who can knock down open shots that will be generated.
For sure. No, I like that pick a lot. And it's kind of like, it's weird. They're in the NBA Finals and they're picking like 23rd. It's pretty good. It's like when you see the 5 seed make it to the finals. So they're going to be probably in a good spot to get somebody of value. Man, like, what do the Thunder need? Like, you're at 24, another again. First rounder. Coward earlier. They got Topic coming back next year. So I'm not going to take Nolan Traore. I'm interested in one of the bigs between Behringer or Raynown. If they're looking for, I think, a little bit more of a project, defensive-minded, that would be Behringer, who would definitely benefit playing in the G League. And when Chet's extension kicks in, you're probably not able to keep Hartenstein for too much longer, so he could end up becoming like a little bit of a replacement. Or Maxime Raynown, who's a really good floor spacer, came over from France, and has good size and ball movement ability. And I think I'm going to have Raynown here because I think now at times you can have Chet back to the 5 and Raynown could even be a 4 if they're ever going to play that much together. And I think the floor spacing ability gives you a little bit more upside. And the Thunder kind of could use a couple more shooters, especially down the line.
Absolutely.
It's crazy that like the Thunder, I wonder like what their odds are going to be to win the title again next year. Like they're definitely going to be the favorites and like everybody's under contract and they have still a couple of draft picks in each draft. It's incredible.
Hey, they say the rich get richer. The rich get richer. So now we are taking the Orlando Magic, who again is in a great spot because they're the team that is loaded all around with talent. We took Jace Richardson. You want shooting. So many. I'm doing my own draft right with you. And so I'm looking at all of the picks, and we're getting to a point of the draft where a lot of the talent has kind of evaporated because so many guys went back to school.
Yeah. It's crazy this year with like the second round not being what it used to be, and now you're really taking swings on guys, and there's not a lot of freshmen in the second round.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy. So they have 3 centers that I think they're comfortable with. They're rumored to be trading or trying to trade Cole Anthony and Jonathan Isaac. You drafted Tristan Da Silva last year. You still have Jett Howard, who I feel like we haven't seen too much of. I'm going to say why. I'm going to double down in the guard position. I'm going to double down. I'm going to get them Walter Clayton Jr. Like,
Love it.
I just like, why not? Like, let's just go for it. We got a freshman who was one and done, and now we have an upperclassman. You know, both will be able to bring shooting and value, and we'll just figure this thing out as we go. Why not?
No, exactly. Guys that could just space the floor, shoot, microwave scores. It's exactly what they need. So at 26 with the Nets, we're going to back-to-back picks with them. We took a wing. We took I guess a guard / wing in Yegor, figuring out what he is. I don't hate the idea of Behringer here, but I think there's just a ton of value, and also just taking Nolan Traore, who plays extremely well in transition, can get around screens very well. I think it would be beneficial if he's playing with Nick Claxton out of the gate, who's a solid screen setter. And I don't know if Demon is going to be like officially a point guard and somebody that's going to handle the rock at all times. So I think it gives you a little bit of blend and balance, and the odds of both of these guys working out for you wouldn't be super high, but hey, the odds of one of them working out for you, I think, are good enough to take a swing on the upside in the first round.
Yeah, this is what you have 4 picks for. You don't get 4 picks to not, shoot your shot. So even if you have some guys that you're taking at the same position, you have to do what you got to do. It's a position of need for them. And I really do think that that's going to be something that they're going to have to figure out sooner than later. When you're putting together a team, I think it's important to get that point guard. Imagine putting together a team and the last thing you need is a guard. It's kind of backwards thinking.
Yeah.
27, still on the Nets. I'm going to take a guy that just feels like a net. Adil Thiero from Arkansas.
Yeah.
He just feels like a net. He's athletic as hell. He's one of my sleepers in this class. If I was drafting I probably would take him a little higher. I think with the size at 6'8", what he was able to do at Arkansas, he could really help a true playoff team. I was thinking about potentially taking him to the Pacers, but then they have so many guys that kind of play similar. But I do think the Arrow is a really, really good pick for the Brooklyn Nets and fits in and what they do. My only thing is, like these other teams that are drafting a lot, they have a lot of wings. You know, I still don't know what Derek Whitehead is. They took Jalen Wilson from Kansas. There's probably some guys I'm not even thinking about. You still have Cam Johnson on the team. They're loaded at wings, but because the future is so murky, because there's so many potential trades that they can do, you can never have too many wings in this league.
No, definitely. And we kind of like prioritize the offensive upside with their picks. I think like Thero is one of the better wing defenders in this draft too. So
absolutely.
with his athleticism, ability to get off and running, get in the passing lane. So I like that a lot. 28 Boston, like a team I have no clue what they're going to do at all. Like, what is their roster going to look like on draft night? Is this player just going to spend time in Maine all year for the G League team? Or are they going to take somebody that can space the floor, positional value? Plenty of guys they can go. Because if they were trying to compete next year, I like Cam Jones a lot.
Yes.
Right? Like from Marquette, space the floor, can handle the ball, like NBA ready out of the gate. Do they take Behringer? Because they're going to have some big man issues with depth. Do they take Kalkbrenner, Shireman's teammate from a year ago?
No, feels like a Celtic pick right there.
Right? Like just a big body inside because Kristaps may be traded. Cornette, they may not be able to afford. Horford may retire. You know what? I think I'm actually going to go Kalkbrenner. I don't know if it's just like I want to see him play with Shireman again together out there, but they need big man depth and they need bigs. I don't know if Nemes Keita is going to have a larger role next year. The Tillman situation probably hasn't worked out after or like at least anymore going forward. So I'm going to take Kalkbrenner there. I think he just fits Boston a little bit more than Behringer does.
Every time I draft for them on like 2K, they end up with him. Him and Tyrese Proctor. I just feel like there's the Celtic guy.
Oh, I like because they we're not gonna do a second round, but they have an early second rounder as
well,
which gives them a little bit of versatility there.
Phoenix here at 29. Boy. I know they're hoping that this will not be the only pick that they have on draft night. But point guard play. They need some guard play, seriously. This team is lacking it. I don't know what's going to happen with Tyus Jones. I don't know what's going to happen with Monte Morris. I would expect that they won't be back on the roster next year. Obviously, Kevin Durant is probably not going to be here. I did like the pick last year with Ryan Dunn and even Iguodala. They have some good wings. I think they have some good, valuable wings with Grayson Allen being able to just be a pure 40% three-point shooter. I think Royce O'Neal played really well with them last year. They were able to get Nick Richards. Interesting spot to be in for them. I think, honestly speaking, this is where I take Cam Jones out of Marquette. I think Cam Jones will be able to, handle the ball enough next to Devin Booker, but I also think he could play off of Devin Booker at times. He's experienced, so you don't have to worry about this project or sending him down to the G League for an immense amount of time. So I like that pick for Phoenix there. That's some good value. I think Cam Jones was one of the most underrated guards in the country last year.
Definitely. And he had 4 years of good shooting on Marquette. Last year's numbers were still like fine. So I trust the large sample size. And I think for Phoenix too, like you could take a flyer on Behringer, but I'd rather you not like reach on a center just because you need a center. You take somebody that I think can help you both now and in the future in Cam Jones, who I would have definitely taken at 30 for the Clippers. It's always tough doing also like the last pick in the first round because I feel like there's like 12 different guys that I want to take to consider them first rounders. I would say that like Ben Seraph is interesting if they're trying to look at like a Harden, not like successor, but like a point guard to at least develop because Harden is not getting any younger. You do have Behringer, who I mentioned a couple times, if they want some big man depth behind Zubats. Noah Penda for some defense.
I didn't realize Noah Penda was slipping like this.
Yeah, like he's a really good defender out of the gate. It's just if that 3-point shot is going to be there for them. And I think here you're just taking guys that you think are going to work out. Obviously, this team needs offense, but there's no like sure thing offensively here. So I'm actually going to go Penda. I think it would be him or Ben Seraph, but I'll take Penda for them with some maybe wing turnover this offseason that at least gets somebody else on the perimeter for them long term. So that's going to wrap things out. What do you feel about this mock? What do you feel about like kind of the draft class so far after doing that?
Man, I like it. The one thing that I noticed, this is my first time really diving in and doing a full like dedicated mock. a lot of these back end teams, Phoenix, the Clippers, the Celtics, even those last couple of Nets picks, they really are affected by the talent that's going back to
For
school. Like, I
sure.
know me and you are up here on the Fanspo thing, and like you see Boogie Flan who went back,
Yeah.
Lindenberg who went back, Condon, Tahad Pettiford, LeBaron
Phylon.
Phylon,
Yeah.
Miles Bird. I'm sorry. Miles Bird.
No, it's
Yes,
so much talent.
that's
Yeah,
my
that
guy.
like
He's
went
gonna be
back
mad I
that
butchered his name.
no, yeah, there's just so much talent. I wonder how like this is gonna change over the course of years because like I'm trying to remember last year in 24, like you had Johnny Furphy and those young guys that it's like, oh, they're going into the draft because
Yes.
like teams want to invest in them. And now there's like you look in the second round, not a lot of freshmen, not a lot of guys under 20 years old. It's a lot of NBA ready talent, but there's just not like those freshmen and sophomores that are fringe first rounders like Phylon Pettiford. They're guys that are going to become draft eligible when they're juniors and stuff or
I was
sophomores.
excited for those guys too. Like, I'm a
Right.
big LeBaron Phylon fan, and I was like really trying to figure out great places he could go. You know, like a Los Angeles Clippers situation, playing behind Harden, or a Phoenix or something like that. And yeah, that really affects the decision making at the end of this first round for sure. But overall, I think we did some great things. I love that pick that you made at 6 with Fears going there. It's probably my favorite pick because it was able to set them up for a later pick that had them taking Thomas Sorber. And again, I think if you walk into the draft night as the Washington Wizards with Carrington, with George, with Coulibaly, with Alex Sarr, you still have Corey Kispert. You walk in and you now add Fears and Sorber to that group. That is a nice situation to be in with Washington. So I like what we did here, man.
Yeah, definitely. I like you taking some wings at 11, like Carter Bryant, one of my favorite players in the class. I like him a lot in Portland, and Coward at 15 in the Thunder. I think really good developmental spots for them for sure.
Carter Bryant is one of my favorites too.
Yeah, dude, he's gonna be good. I wish he got a couple more shot opportunities. I know it went like viral on Twitter, or I think it was yesterday. Somebody posted it like his high school mixtape.
Yes,
and like he's like, dude, he's creating so many things off the dribble, spin moves. It was like electric. And I'm like, yeah, we didn't get to see this at all at Arizona, but if he has this in it, he could be a special player in this class for sure.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be good, man.
Yeah, no, definitely. That was a lot of fun to do. Thank you for hopping on and doing this. You guys can check out Pierre's stuff all in the description below. And yeah, just looking forward to this draft, man. And I hope you guys all enjoyed, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.